So today we're gonna play a game where I'm gonna show you what I'm picking up out of the bag as the loot that you're receiving. So this is to a future player. This is when I'm describing to you what I'm giving you, what I'm talking about. This is a wand where the gemstone would go right here. You'd simply hold the wand and either activate your power and a sword would appear, either made out of ice or lightning, depending on your class. And you would also now have the ability to convert this into an ice staff or a longer form ice weapon that you can then sculpt and potentially use this as you've created now this magic staff out of ice that you can then activate a lightning or an ice sword at the end, and as a bladed axe, strike down. You have that option now that you are in possession of this. Next up, power coral. If you identify an object like this, usually a blessed is going to be the one carrying one of these. It's a power storage unit that can burst lightning out of it. You see all the different small little holes. The creator of the magic charge, it's actually on the bottom, the electricity fires out of the tip of this and it sparks forward. It's harder to aim very accurately, but it allows you to use what equates to a breath weapon and a cone attack. Again, lightning damage. Now we get to the larger items. So when there's a enemy Aquin that is holding a piece of coral and potentially holding a two-handed greatsword, this is what that hilt looks like. So he has the ability, there's a very large rock on the front here that activates like a Kuiper crystal again. Activates, now there's this huge flowing water and ice sword coming out of it, and if you activate the power known as Smite, you hold it really tight and the gem glows and it turns into a lightning sword. So you then have a two-handed, which again, you can hold this with one hand and swipe with it because it's not weighing more because there's a large blade, or you hold it with two hands and you do extra damage. So you take it with two hands and you strike, and then you can also turn it upside down, and on the other end is your lightning pistol. So you actually can then hold it like this, hold it forward, and fire in straight lines and hope that the lightning that's going to arc out of the tip of this, there's another crystal here, the lightning arcs, and it's much closer to a bolt, which is actually hitting a single target. So if on an action you want to take two attacks, you simply are going to go bolt, bolt. And then someone comes to hit you, you flip your sword around and you actually can deflect it with, now remember, there's a sword coming out of this with that lightning or that ice sword. This is quite a powerful weapon. The wand. Sometimes very unassuming. If you see somebody holding this, it really depends on the rarity and the value and the size of the crystal that is affixed here. But the wand is a weapon that a spellcaster is going to use, and this is an activated focus. So picture there's an enemy who's holding this and it has a giant pearl on the top that they can actually run electricity along, like a giant pearl that they run electricity around, and then they hold it out and they either blind everybody, flash everybody, attack everybody and paralyze them, or you can do a bolt attack from this as well. Longsword hilt. You now have the ability, you grip this, and the hilt has one of the crystals on the hilt. Lightning flashes from this, and again, single-handed. So if you have two of these, you could theoretically be dual wielding or pull out, make them connected with an ice, and then have a dual pole arm that you're using. But again, as one-handed, you would have to take the ambidextrous feat to hold two, or you're simply holding this and potentially a shield, a turtle shell or a magical shield, and holding it like this, you are ready for combat. And then at range, flip it over, hold it like this, and you're gonna fire. Again, same concept. All it matters is the gem that's affixed to either end, and there can be up to 3 gems on a hilt like this. Arcane firearm. Specifically, when held, draw as an action and fire. Now, certain firearms allow you the also ability to put them to the side and spin them. And what this is going to allow you to do is create jacks. Think of them as tiny metal jacks, but they're made out of ice, that's spread in a 15-foot area or in an area of your choosing and flow with the current. And that's one action. And then as another action, when you aim your pistol as a lightning arcanist, artillerist, as a lightning sniper, you would aim this gun, and those jacks that we talked about are actually shaping the forked lightning, whereas historically this would be a very blast. It would probably more blind you than hurt you. This is a very targeted lightning shock directly to the target that you are hitting, and if it's a correct hit or a raise, and you aim for their arm goes numb. It's that level of accuracy because you spent an action spinning it and releasing all these jacks, and now you're firing. So that's the gun of the electric sniper. Now we get to fun ones. This is a double jeweled support weapon for an ice smith. So an ice smith can hold a hilt like this in their hands, and ice forms in whatever shape they want. They can make this as pole arm, they can make this a spear, they can actually make this into whatever weapon they want. And if you're holding one of these and you activate one side, which actually is what causes the ice to form, you can bend a little bit and you can create a water current that spins this while you're holding it and shaping it. And ice is forming all along a long staff and shooting forward. So you're able to actually shoot in a cone ice shards coming out of a spinning lightsaber made out of ice. Armor upgrades are very easy in Suede. You pull this off of a dead body or an enemy that you've beaten, and they actually had it affixed to their breastplate with a single gem, or in some cases multiple gems, which are infused with power. So you equip this, and now potentially you have the ability to use barrier. And now when instead of getting hit on a reaction, you can actually use a power point and expend the use of this gem, or it might have multiple uses depending on how large it is, where you just take that hit, but ice forms right around where the hit, and it either reduces a wound to a shaken, or makes shaken just not a thing because you knew that it was activating and you confidently could stand there and just take the bullet that was coming at you or the stroke that was coming at you and then immediately fight back. So that's armor upgrades. Very easy. If a suit of armor has 2 upgrades and 2 powers, it's possible and easy to remove those from their armor and put it on yours, or simply equip that armor and become attuned to those crystals. Now this is the badge of Pelagia. So, like a sheriff's badge, if you have this equipped and it simply sits like clipped onto your front of your armor and it has a gem on it, this is the symbol of Pelagian college authority and of, in some cases, the order that you belong to. So you have easy identification as a member of the Pelagian Society of what your primary powers are, though you don't have to reveal all of them to anyone, but also where you graduated from, what college, and who you are. So reading this badge out to somebody or someone seeing it and asking for help, they will often just look down at your badge, get a better understanding of who you are and how you might be able to help them, and then they will ask you for help. It's a Pelagian badge. It's a smaller armor upgrade. So you would actually like equip this potentially as pauldrons or bracers. Power stones, naturally occurring in the rock. Sometimes you might just find something in a cave and you're like, is that glowing? I think it is. And what you'll see is as you rub it and understand that there's something under there, naturally occurring magicite comes in many forms, and this can be magically infused as well. So you can find a way to infuse this yourself bring it to somebody who will infuse it, or it's just kind of a raw piece of potential that you can potentially use. And these are found very often in encounters and with raises on investigation checks where there's some latent magic power in it, and we kind of can collectively decide what that magic power is. The Pelagian gunslinger can hold 2 small firearms, and again, with ambidextrous or with a disadvantage on the offhand, fire multiple times in a round. And these have a crystal on the end that actually is what is charging those. And if you want, as an action, depending on if you take this as a feat or an edge, you can actually use this as a viewfinder, which what it's doing is it's actually creating an ice view with different pieces of the ice that have been molded and warped to be more like magnification. And so you can actually use this, and then like picture you actually just can clip this to your eye, and now ice forms on one side like Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z, and now you have advantage and an easier time shooting with one bullet, or light them up. A coral maze. So some of these have naturally occurring power, and others can just be infused or have gems or areas where you put a gem. Like this hole is specifically designed that you could fit a power stone in there. So these are actually held by spellcasters, and given, depending on the power infused with it, it's giving you the ability to either spread it in a cone or point it in a direction. So if someone's holding this for heal and they're casting it on self, or they're placing it on someone, what you're doing is you're actually amplifying the healing power into somebody's body. But if you point it, you might be able to arc lightning out of the edge of it. Petrified coral. Again, same thing. This could be an armor pauldron. This is more on land than in sea, but this is thousands, if not millions of years old, found at a volcano, which you can actually just attach to your pauldrons, which has room for multiple powers. And then smaller bits of coral, which don't always necessarily have to have something, but theoretically this is like a trinket that you could also infuse with magic, and you could just have it on your body, or pinned to your body, or placed in a pocket on your armor to do a specific effect. You also have the ability to trade things. So if you have a random armor pauldron and another random armor pauldron, and you're like, collectively this isn't really that value to me, you can go to a trader and find a place where these are actually evenly exchanged, or they'll just pop the stone out for you and re-infuse it with different magic. The option's yours, and the opportunities are endless.